Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever you are in the world. I hope this finds you well. Interesting couple days in the markets here as Caspa has held support above the 20-week moving average, which is very bullish. A lot of altcoins are falling below their 20-week and even the 21-week EMA. So Caspa holding above that as support is pretty bullish, and it's nice to see that, and it just affirms my conviction in holding Caspa, and I feel really good right now because this is a really obvious sign of strength, especially if you notice that Bitcoin actually fell below not only the 20-week moving average, it's 20-week, but also its 21-week moving average. So as you can see, Bitcoin dumps, falls through. A lot of the altcoins get crushed, and Caspa not only is not getting crushed, but it is still holding above the 20-week, the red moving average here, and it is continuing up now, while Bitcoin, for example, is trying to get back above its 21-week EMA, and then a little higher is its 20-week. So right now, in my opinion, Caspa is showing very obvious strength. And you can also look at more specifically at the Caspa Bitcoin pair. So I have this multiplied times 100 million to put it into the Satoshi's value. So Caspa is now at 254 Satoshis, and I think that's just an easier way to value Caspa, the Caspa Bitcoin pair. Otherwise, you have a lot of decimal places to the right. So this is much more easy to glance at and see where it is. It peaked so far at 413. On the next swing up to the upside, potentially, I was eyeballing, 1,000, so the 4.236 would be 1,200 Satoshis. I have no doubt at some point it's going to get there. It's just a matter of time. So exercising patience for me, just, it's a waiting game, it's a long-term trade. And you can see here, anytime the Caspa Bitcoin pair fell below its 20 and 21 week moving averages, it did eventually get above. This last phase that we had was much longer below these moving averages. So a lot of people got bored, especially if, they entered here or here, and perhaps, felt a lot of fear in here because who knows, maybe Caspa would have gotten rejected by these moving averages and then continue down. But we don't have that situation right now. Right now, Caspa has in fact gotten above both moving averages. It's holding them as support, and on the USD pair, Caspa is above them and moving up. So the signs right now are looking pretty bullish. If you've followed the channel for a while, you've kind of seen how Caspa has fallen into these descending channels numerous times. And then once it flips them as support, it continues higher. So we had that recently. And then the next thing we were looking for was it to hold the 20-week SMA, the red moving average, as it did, as you can see here and here. So we had two examples of it retesting, and being the impulse for a wave higher. So we kind of have a similar thing going on right now where it broke out of a descending channel. It's gotten above these moving averages, and then it has retested its 20-week moving average, and now it looks like it's moving higher. And so when I see that, I it's affirmation that the potential for a higher move is high. So we also were following this. Basically, it's just an analysis on time, and you can see how long these, 23 days below the bull market support band here. We had that right here, and at the time I pointed out, hey, look, 23 days, and then it really started moving up. And when this accumulation below the or capitulation, however you want to look at it, was happening below the 20 and 21 weeks. 23 days came in. I said, hey, KAS starts pumping near the 23-day mark, or it could. I think at the time I just said it could, and what do you know, it did, and it got above. So really, patterns don't always need to repeat, but sometimes they do. And right here, I think a lot of people were looking at this, or something was in the air, but whatever it was, it occurred that around 23 days, Caspa pretty much did the same thing. It got above these moving averages. Now, what are we doing? We're testing the 20-week SMA. We tested it here, continued up. So if we look for patterns, that is a clear pattern to me. And then also to note, 216 days is when it really started like breaking out. So, from this peak to this breakout. So this peak to right now, we are actually roughly at 216 days. And, we are, if we look at it, we're pushing the all-time highs still. We really are. So time-wise, it's all looking pretty primed for upside, in my opinion. And I think, I have a feeling that anyone who is long and has exposure to Caspa right now is going to be pleasantly rewarded in the near term. And even with this recent Bitcoin flush, where it came down to the 0.236 level, which I mentioned in the Discord server. If you're interested in technical analysis, I'm in there, putting out updates every day, even, video updates. So we all like to just pay attention and share with each other what's going on. And I'm there available to teach technical analysis. So if you're interested in that, you'll find a link to that below, and also in my bio on Twitter. So, or just, DM me, ask me for that link. So Bitcoin, is pumping off it got below the 236, but now it's above. And really we gotta see it get above, these moving averages again. And it could close the week. It's only Tuesday, so we'll see how this weekly candle closes. Perhaps, it gets above. And if that happens, honestly, I think that the altcoin market is going to really get sent on this one. That's just my opinion. So I think this is kind of, if things do continue up from here on Bitcoin, I think this is going to be the one of the moves that launches the altcoins. So we'll see. That's my guess. And clearly, we were looking at timing of the entire cycle, and if Bitcoin does, get to these higher Fibonacci extensions, does it happen this year? It doesn't look like that's happening, because it should be happening right now if it was similar to this cycle in terms of the halving. But so what we're typically looking at is potentially a peak next year. But again, perhaps it doesn't do either scenario, A or B. Perhaps it just, we have to wait and see. And that makes the point that it's just important to have a strategy and be prepared for any scenario. So for me, that strategy looks like not being overinvested, being able to stay in the market without feeling strong emotions, and being able to ride it for all it's worth. And then also like holding something that I have high conviction in, that I think is going to trend up over time, regardless of like having to specifically worry about if Bitcoin is peaking right here, or if it's going to continue higher. I think that, Caspa is primed to reach potentially like, $3 to $5. I think $1 is more conservative, because if you look at, this is Cardano in the yellow, and I'm sure many of you have seen this before, but for those that are new, Cardano peaked at like $4.13 roughly. And that corresponded with like a $90 billion market cap, which I think Caspa is stronger fundamentally than Cardano, and the supply was similar. So that's why it's a good one to look at just to get an idea of potential prices. And so we were watching these fractals a long time ago. This happened more while Bitcoin was actually setting a peak. So like highs, like last cycle, up closer to its all-time high. So way above its previous high. This time it's interesting because Bitcoin Bitcoin hasn't really broken out to new highs. Like it hasn't gone up to these higher Fibonacci extensions. So when that does happen, that may be the time that Caspa really does, something like this and gets to those super high valuations, or it just slowly trends up over time, even regardless of what Bitcoin does, which is more my feeling that Caspa is just undervalued, so it's just gonna continue to get bids, and anytime it hits an attractive level, like it's on a discount or it's hitting some key moving averages, then people are going to buy it up. And I think over time, like the structure of it is just very bullish. Like you just look at the all-time chart, it's built such a beautiful base here. I think this is like going to cause an upside move at some point. And the fundamentals, the supply, the tokenomics, the proof of work, almost, I don't know what it is now, maybe 80% in circulation, something like that. It all is reason for Caspa to do well. Just the fundamentals are so strong. It doesn't have VCs that are selling, so everything is in its favor for the price to appreciate. The rewards decrease every month for miners, so that all creates less incentive for miners to sell unless they're like at a certain profit margin, which that profit margin is decreasing every month, unlike Bitcoin, where it decreases every 4 years, right? So the miners need price to appreciate in order to like maintain a profit margin. So they're less likely to sell if they're underwater, unless they like really need to pay their bills. But anyway, people who are mining Caspa generally are bullish on it, and that's why they're mining it. So just like people who invest in it, miners are also investors. A lot of them are bullish on it. They also trade. So it's not like they're just purely mining and selling, or maybe they have a strategy where they sell some, to maintain operating costs like 20%, and then keep 80% of their coins to hold until like higher valuations. So, Caspa, I think, should conservatively be able to reach $1 this cycle, and potentially higher. Could reach, $3, $4, $5. Obviously, that's just an opinion, not financial advice. I don't know what could happen. This could be the peak. You never know. But in my opinion, like it's gonna go much higher, and so it's just a matter of being patient for me. So I am willing to be patient, and my strategy allows me to be patient. So, and then we were looking at this potential running flat pattern where I thought it was going to maybe get a little higher, like up here, but it looks like it's doing this sort of thing. So in any case, I think that this sort of pattern is still valid, where it potentially could just kind of creep up in this kind of triangular shape and then eventually break out. And, there's a lot of different ways you can look at it. This chart too, we're just, the moving averages, the timing, the Bitcoin, the Caspa Bitcoin pair, everything to me is looking, it's looking good. I feel pretty comfortable right here. Bitcoin is now, it looks like, so as we're talking right now, Bitcoin looks like it's now above the 21-week EMA, so it's at 61,700. The 21-week is at 61,300. So right now, it looks like buyers are coming in. And sentiment was fearful on the timeline yesterday, and in spaces, people were generally like, entertaining ideas of lower prices? What would happen if it pulled back to who knows what, 40K, 48K, right? Like 48K would be, you know, in this region right here, somewhere in here. And, you know, I don't know. People were entertaining that. Maybe it doesn't happen. Maybe it just holds the bull market support band as it does in a bull market. And if we look at the timing again here, like this was the Bitcoin halving in 2020, and it just kind of went sideways for a bit and then continued up. So, you know, right here, if we just continue sideways for a bit more before it continues up, because this was the Bitcoin halving, this was the Bitcoin halving. So we do something where we're just going sideways. Maybe that is more likely, you know, the halving just this time happened to happen at the all-time highs instead of like down, I don't know what, 30% or whatever it was from the peak. What was it? It happened at, you know, it happened at like, oh, down 60%. So just so happened that this time the halving happened at the all-time highs. So it's hard, you know, it's hard to make a perfect comparison here, but it did, even though it happened down 60%, it did go sideways. Perhaps it's just going to go sideways here and then continue up. If it falls below, then we'll have to assess that situation as it comes. But for me, holding Caspa, it doesn't affect my strategy because I think it's fundamentally undervalued, and I think that Caspa can reach these valuations up in here, potentially this cycle. So, you know, it's easier for me to hold Caspa knowing it's undervalued than holding other things that could potentially go to zero that are just have no fundamentals and have VCs in them that are just dumping tokens that are vesting. Caspa really just doesn't have any of that, and it really just is more Bitcoin than Bitcoin in a lot of ways. So it sells itself the more you learn about it, and you know, there's always more people that have faded it early on that are going to potentially have the light bulb moment where they see how revolutionary Caspa is just in the decentralized currency space, and that it really is a scalable, fair launch proof of work, more Bitcoin than Bitcoin in a lot of ways. So, so I hope that helps. I hope that, you know, maybe adds a little reassurance if you're feeling a little bit uncertain on the markets right now. Drop any comments on what you liked, what might want expanded on in the future. And I'll try to respond and try to accommodate. So, hope that helps, and be well. Take care. Until next time.